What's up, everybody? Damon here, and in today's gaming and movie news, Resident Evil 5 has been dethroned as the best-selling entry in the series, Spider-Man Brand New Day is predicted to web up an incredible opening weekend at the box office, and 2 new suits have been added to the Spider-Man 2 game. This is your Daily Fix. After 15 years, Resident Evil 5 is no longer the highest-selling entry in Capcom's survival horror series. New sales figures for the Resident Evil franchise show its sales crown has now been taken by the Resident Evil 2 Remake, which has now shifted nearly 20 million copies, enough to slip past Resident Evil 5's final total of 19 million. These totals are interesting for several reasons. Firstly, the fact that Resident Evil 5 sales have taken a decade and a half to topple says a lot about the huge excitement for that game when it arrived, riding on the coattails of the beloved Resident Evil 4, despite ultimately being judged nowhere near as good. Secondly, these totals show that the Resident Evil series back catalog continues to sell really well. Capcom's Resident Evil 2 Remake launched back in 2019 and is clearly still shifting copies, and has likely benefited from the subsequent launches of other Leon S. Kennedy starring games such as the Resident Evil 4 Remake and Resident Evil Requiem. Speaking of the 4 Remake and Requiem, you might wonder where their sales are on all of this. Well, they are still selling brilliantly too, and may yet both eclipse Resident Evil 2 to become the franchise's top sellers, given enough time. All combined, the Resident Evil franchise has now sold 213 million copies across all of its games. Other Capcom games selling well include the new franchise Pragmata, now up to 2.5 million copies sold, and Monster Hunter World, which has now sold an astonishing 30.5 million copies. Next up for the Resident Evil franchise is the launch of Zach Cregger's Resident Evil movie on September 16th, before the arrival of Resident Evil Veronica sometime in 2027. Moving on, Spider-Man Brand New Day is on track to absolutely obliterate the box office this weekend. Various box office analysts have begun to release their projections for Brand New Day's opening weekend, and in case there was any doubt, it's going to make heaps of money. Just 2 weeks after Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey set a high bar for a movie starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Jon Bernthal, Spider-Man Brand New Day is expected to clear that bar with ease. On the lower end of box office projections, Deadline estimates the film will make a whopping 180 to 190 million domestically on opening weekend. This would blow past Toy Story 5's 159 million domestic opening and make Spidey the biggest opening of the year so far. Box Office Pro, on the other hand, is projecting that Brand New Day will bring in 230 to 250 million during its domestic opening weekend. This would be the second biggest opening in Spider-Man's cinematic history, with No Way Home holding the record at 260 million. Another projection from Global Box Office estimates that globally, the film could amass 800 million in its opening weekend, thanks to a massive international haul. That would make it the second biggest opening in history behind Avengers Endgame, which pulled in a jaw-dropping 1.2 billion in its opening weekend. That may be a stretch given the absurd build-up and unprecedented success of Avengers Endgame, but if any character could come close, it would be Spider-Man. Regardless of where it lands, it certainly looks like Brand New Day is going to help extend a massively successful summer for theaters and set a record for the year. It's unlikely any other film is going to match the commercial success of Spider-Man until Avengers Doomsday, and even then, the popularity of a standalone Spider-Man adventure may outmatch the hype for a new Avengers film in 2026. And finally, PlayStation 5 blockbuster Spider-Man 2 has been updated to add 2 new Spidey suits, including Tom Holland's new costume from Brand New Day. In celebration of this week's new Spider-Man film, the web-slinging PS5 sequel has been patched to version 1.005.000, which adds 2 new Spidey designs, plus support for enhanced PSSR on PlayStation 5 Pro. The Brand New Day suit is available in-game now, labeled as the Fresh Start suit. Also available is the Spider-Man costume from Marvel Tōkon Fighting Souls. Spider-Man 2 developer Insomniac Games has regularly kept its most recent Spidey game updated with new suits. They're up to 92 now. Next up from the studio is Marvel's Wolverine, due to arrive exclusively for PS5 on September 15th. And that is your Daily Fix for Tuesday, July 28th. Now that you're caught up on the news, watch our video on the 11 best GTA missions. I'm Damon Hadfield, and for all your video game news, stay tuned to IGN.